Okay, so this one is the second section in your revision guide, and it focuses on crime and punishment. So first thing you need to know is the different causes of punishment, the Catholic views on the aims of punishment, and then being able to explain that with the Jewish view as well. Okay, so if we're looking at the causes of crime, now these are quite varied, all right? So a couple of things you can focus on would be upbringing, okay? So someone's upbringing, not having boundaries in place, however, how that can then escalate then for later on in life. Also your environment, okay, so if you're surrounded by other criminals or whatever in your local area, then that becomes maybe normality, so it's an acceptable life choice. Another one could be economic or financial situation that you find yourself in. Okay, so that could just be the fact that you haven't got any money, all right, and you need to be able to provide, so you turn to crime as you feel it's the only option. Okay, you then got the glamorization of a criminal lifestyle. Okay, so obviously in the media, all right, doing films or whatever, that things like, I don't know what's popular with you, like kidulthood maybe, okay, that when you got films like that, however, that it makes it almost like a desirable choice to be a criminal, so that has an impact, obviously. Okay, next one is the fact we've all got free choice, we've all got free will, all right. Some people just decide that's the type of lifestyle they want to go into, all right. And another one could be pressured into crime. Okay, so if we look at teenagers, I know that you're all big and hard, okay, but there's always someone who's bigger and harder than you, all right, and maybe that person is pressurizing you to go into a life of crime. Okay, now if we look about the Catholic views on the aims of punishment, all right, then once again these focus on particularly the four main aims of punishment. So these four aims are protection, retribution, deterrence, and rehabilitation. Okay, and then the final thing is that you need to bring in about forgiveness. Okay, Catholics believe that somebody should be forgiven. It does link with rehabilitation, but it's like the next step. So if we look at the reasons why punishment should be allowed because of protection, that's quite straightforward, really. Okay, Jesus said, love thy neighbour, okay, and it would be a loving action to protect society from a criminal. The other one about retribution. Okay, so you could link that to the idea that a person is going to be judged. God teaches about that in the parable of the sheep and the goats. But you could also then say about how an eye for an eye, that type of idea. Okay, an eye for an eye, whatever means that if you've committed a certain crime, then you've got to be punished for that too. With regards to deterrence, once again, you can use that same teaching, eye for an eye, okay, life for a life. If somebody has taken a life and then they have their life taken away from them from being in prison for the whole of their life, then I don't know about you, that's probably going to put me off murdering someone, all right? I don't really want to go to prison for the rest of my life. Now, however, the real crucial one is that Catholics believe that punishment should provide rehabilitation. And the reason for this, right, is that Jesus taught, okay, that we should not repay anyone evil for evil. Okay, so don't repay evil for evil. Now, what this means, right, is that we should find opportunities for people to be forgiven, but also to change, okay, to find their way back to God, to find their way back to being a good person. So the type of things that they would support then would be the ideas like counselling, okay, so you might have a Catholic chaplain that would go into prisons to help support these people to be able to turn their lives around, all right. And the other one then, the final one, is forgiveness. Okay, so Jesus taught Peter when he was asked how many times should be forgiven, and Jesus said not 7 times but 77 times, okay, or 70 times 7, depending on which account you read. Now, what this means, right, is that if that person is deserving of forgiveness, or that the victim feels that they would like to forgive them for their own personal reasons, such as it being a healing process or providing closure, that this should be allowed to happen. They should do this. Okay. Now, if that was the explain question, then you would just say that you would just turn that into 2 peak paragraphs and giving it as an overview. My advice to you, though, is that you combine you combine some of those aims of punishment. So you might want to do 1 paragraph that says about how Catholics believe that the punishment should be allowed as deterrence and protection. Okay, just so you give your full understanding. Okay, now what's called the Jewish view. Okay, so the Jewish view is very similar sort of to Catholics. All right, with those same 4 aims plus forgiveness. Okay, retribution, protection, deterrence, rehabilitation, and then forgiveness. Okay, then the reason why they believe that rehabilitation is so important, okay, that they believe what's called that teshuvah is something that is obviously vital, okay, repentance. Somebody is repentant of their sin or their crime, then that they should, so that the person should find within them to forgive, okay, and saying what's called also the teaching that says that God will pardoneth iniquity, okay. Now, the other one is, you could link it to what's called deterrence and protection, okay? So if Jews have are stewards of the world, and the fact they have responsibility because of Tikkun Olam to fix anything that's wrong with the world, well, a criminal, okay, causing suffering is something that that could be argued as needing fixing, okay, or fixing in society. So having that person imprisoned, if there's somebody who's committed a violent or serious crime, that is one way to fix that problem, okay.